Ending 7 years of review and political speculation, President Obama announced earlier today that the Keystone XL oil pipeline has been rejected. Here's the president announcing that in this video.
This morning, Secretary Kerry informed me that after extensive public outreach and consultation with other cabinet agencies, the State Department has decided that the Keystone XL pipeline would not serve the national interests of the United States. I agree with that decision.
He's like, that's as dramatic as he gets because he like paused and emphasized the not. It would not serve the. But God, he makes the most exciting. I mean, I find this politically exciting, right? Maybe I'm alone. He makes it sound so dreary, like, oh, we're not going to do the Keystone pipeline. Dude, drop the elbow. Be like, okay, now to all the people who want a Keystone, that's on Switzerland. Gone. Okay.
Well, even the way he worded it, he said the State Department has decided.
Yes.
It will not. And I agree. But
to be fair,
regardless, it ain't happening.
No. And I was totally wrong about this. I've lost money on this. I want to congratulate everybody who was right about this. And we'll get to that in a second. But to be fair to him, he did say that the State Department would be making that decision because the Keystone pipeline crossed the border. So the State Department was always going to make the decision.
Yeah.
So he has to say that as he's introducing it. Now, we got one more from Obama, and then we'll get into the substance of why he turned it down.
For years, the Keystone pipeline has occupied what I frankly consider an overinflated role in our political discourse. Let me briefly comment on some of the reasons why the State Department rejected this pipeline. First, the pipeline would not make a meaningful long-term contribution to our economy. Second, the pipeline would not lower gas prices for American consumers. In fact, gas prices have already been falling steadily.
That's right. And so
right.
So the second part of that is what we've been saying on the show for a long time, and he elaborated on it overall in the press conference when he explained, well, you know, the pipeline comes through the U.S. and goes out the Gulf to other countries, right? So it doesn't affect gas prices here in the U.S. I mean, on day one, we were like, it's not for us. Yeah. There's a reason why it goes to the Gulf, so it can leave, so it can be exported to other countries. So now, does some of it stay here? Of course, but that's because we buy oil in an international market.
Yeah.
So it's a drop in the bucket of that international market, not just the internal U.S. or North American market. And that's what he's alluding to there.
To be fair, some would have ended up staying in the U.S. when it inevitably sprung leaks and destroyed huge swaths of the environment of the U.S. We would have gotten that stuff, and free of charge.
Yeah. Actually, we would have had to pay for the cleanup.
That's true. Not free, but we would have gotten it.
So you're telling me, Cenk, that oil that comes from Canada goes in a pipe, goes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, and then gets put on a ship and goes to another country where it gets burned and turned into energy. None of that money comes to us?
So they say, well, look, we would have built the pipeline, so that would have been jobs. So in a sense, that's money coming to us. And then they talked about how it was going to create thousands of jobs. Then you find out there was like 35 jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there really weren't that many jobs it would have created.
Permanent jobs.
Oh, permanent, almost none, right? But even temporarily, it really wouldn't have created that many jobs. Not nearly as much as advertised. And so it's Canada's oil. It's their natural resource, right? And they're selling it to us as well as other markets. But they sell it, like I said, in the international market. We're not getting a better price for it. It's not like, hey, thank you for having the pipeline go through your land, so you will now buy gas. American consumers, you will now get the gas 10 cents cheaper than everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
that's not how it works, right? So there's other contracts that are involved in that pipeline where some people would get paid out, right? But it's a de minimis impact on us because the main impact would be gas prices, and it would hardly move the needle at all.
The two big lies were jobs and oil prices, and how as oil prices escalate, these are the two lies that are constantly floated when it comes to drilling and exploration. It's jobs, and we've got to become energy independent. And somehow this got folded into that as well. And it makes no sense, as you say, all you have to do is look at the superficial aspects of it. It's just a pipeline that's passing through. It's not even U.S. oil, right? And so it makes no sense. But it's the same lie repeated over and over and over again. So the one thing I would say is, keep your eye on that lie. It's the one that's always floated. It's about exploration in the Gulf. It's about exploration in the Arctic. Whatever the exploration project is, it's going to bring oil into the U.S. and it's going to make for U.S. jobs.
Yeah.
And generally, it's not true. I mean, the lie here was revealed only because there was so much environmental outcry.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I really, really want to give credit to those brave fighters who fought, honestly, the Obama administration, let alone the Republicans on this. If they had not fought, the Obama administration would have approved this 2 years ago, right? They were ready to approve it. Every single sign pointed to approval. Bill McKibben, 350.org.
Yep.
John, read the rest of the list real quick.
Mark Weiss, he headed up the Sierra Club's division that was devoted to fighting the Keystone XL pipeline. James Hansen worked for the Goddard Institute at NASA. He was one of the first back in 2011 who raised public awareness of the pipeline. The National Natural Resources Defense Council, Credo Mobile, and the Indigenous Environmental Network have all been organizations or people who've been lobbying against it for a number of years.
And so I want to not only give them tremendous credit because they made this happen. Without them, there's no way this would have gone down the way that it did, right? And second of all, eat a little crow here because I didn't think they could pull it off. I thought the Obama administration was set on making it happen. I believe that Obama is fairly conservative in his principles and is ready to play ball with almost any corporation you put out there in front of him. And you could see that in the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I thought he would have done the same thing here that he's done on almost every issue. That's what I said. I even made a bet with our producer, J.R. Jackson. $20 I just lost today. And as I always say, I hope to God I'm wrong. And in this case, yes, I was wrong. Woo! Okay, there's the best $20 I'll ever spend, right? Is JR winning that bet. And those guys made it happen. All the people that John talked about, McKibben was a huge factor out in front. And the reason they won is what they did was they fought. They delayed so long that Obama, who's used to conceding to Republicans, got to a point in his second term where he was like, oh, there's no point in conceding anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're not giving me anything. There's no hope they're ever going to give me anything. So then what's the point of conceding? And you know what? I kind of don't like them.
Yeah.
Wasn't this a legacy move, too, for him, Cenk? I mean, he's concerned a little bit about his legacy.
That's right. And it delayed it long enough for it to partly affect the next election a little bit, right? And Hillary Clinton has said because of the public pressure when she's trying to win in a Democratic primary, that she's against the pipeline.
Yeah.
So for a number of those factors, that delay wound up extending the fight long enough to win. Improbable, but that's why you fight, because you never know when you're going to win.